for LFO, proving me wrong, proving me the skeptic about Clubhouse. And well, it wasn't easy for sure, but they do nail the coffin.
Living started in 2013 after we lost a very good man in the name of Dwayne Lally to a mental illness. They say death by suicide affects 115 people, but you can't even put a number on it. The ripple effect that the loss of one life had on thousands of people far outweighed what I've ever experienced in my entire life.
I'd received a call saying he'd gone missing. I was driving around the whole of the Gold Coast looking for him. I had no idea where to find him.
Dwayne was an avid boxing man, very talented. Life of the party, very charismatic, extremely passionate.
Loving, loyal, he was very cheeky.
Mental illness is costing many people their lives every single day. While I'm sitting here speaking, people are taking their life, and it's because there's people suffering in silence.
1 in 5 people suffer from some form of mental illness, and suicide's the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 44.
You can look for things like not getting out of bed of a morning, being socially disconnected, loss of appetite, change in mood, change in behaviour, lack of self-esteem.
Dwayne suffered from depression and bipolar for a number of years, and the stigma kept him quiet. So we wanted to turn that negative into a positive, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure Dwayne would have done the same. We're just doing what he would have done.
Hi, my name's Dan Price. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't connect with Livin, but I certainly wouldn't be as well as I am today. I was suicidal and tried to take my life on the 4th of December 2014. I was very lucky to survive. I didn't want people to know that I was struggling because of the stigmas around mental illness.
We noticed that there were plenty of great service providers in this country, but all too common people weren't seeking help because of this stigma. So we wanted to bridge that gap.
As males, we're extremely tough. We want to be the tough people, the ones that have all the answers, the ones that don't want to admit our vulnerabilities and our weaknesses.
You might not have the answers, but if you can offer support and just listen to them, that could be what they need in that moment of time.
I was an alpha male and a popular guy, and I didn't want people to think I was weak, and that's why I love the message that Livin presents, which is it ain't weak to speak.
We go all around the country, businesses, sporting clubs, teaching people that it ain't weak to speak. What we're really doing is educating them in how to speak, where to speak, and then we're educating people on how to listen and how to look for these warning signs, because without one you can't really have the other. It's all about being honest and open. If something's off, just ask them.
That's what Livin's all about, taking that stigma away and giving people hope, help, connection, and giving them the confidence to speak up and seek the help when they need it and when they deserve it.
We believe with education comes understanding, with understanding comes acceptance, and with acceptance comes hope.
I want to change the way the world understands, perceives and interprets mental health. Let's change the dynamics in which this is looked at. For far too long it's been a stigma. We're going to make this a dinner table conversation, the same way that we'd put our hand up and run for help if we had a broken leg.
Don't be afraid to have those, hard-hitting, confronting conversations, because it could save a life.
I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, and Livin has been instrumental in changing my life for the better.
If in doubt, reach out, because there's a lot of people out there that want to help and support you making that change to get back on track to start living again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from wherever you may be joining from around the world. We're here for the Oceanic Nationals in the ANZ region. I am Matic. I'm joined by none other than Raven. Mate, we had some interesting games on Wednesday night. I don't think one of them went to regulation, so they were all done pretty quickly.
Yeah, look, the closest result there was a 7-4 between Rhythm and LFO, but other than that, boy, there were some dominant displays and a bit of a surprise in terms of how certain things ended up.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So very quickly, before we get into all of the action for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, do feel free to get in touch with us on socials at Rainbow6ANZ on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, make sure you use the hashtag OCN if you are talking about the matches. We would love to see your thoughts, as we give our thoughts on Twitter sometimes too. So we'd love to get involved, and we'd love to start that chat. Speaking about starting the conversation, Raven, we may as well start the conversation of tonight. The matches we've got, I think they're all going to be pretty juicy, in all honesty.
Yeah, look, I'm really excited about tonight because it is the second last Playday of the regular season, and that means that things are really starting to fall into place for these matches. And some of these matches being a lot more than some of the others, but at the end of the day, it's all about these teams trying to place as high as possible, get that seeding, or avoid relegations completely.
Yeah, now that's the big thing right there, Raven, is avoiding relegation. Now, I'm going to ask all the viewers at home to bring your eyes down to the bottom of those standings. We've got LFO, Rhythm, and Ferox currently very much fighting for that relegation playoff, or rather fighting to miss the relegation playoff, if you will. Rhythm and Ferox, they're a little bit more in the clear than LFO at the moment. They have not performed even to the slightest of standards of what we'd hoped for them. Last season, they'd played quite well, but look, to be honest, flipping the storyline there, Wildcard, after having a bit of a shaky start to the season, they're definitely all guns firing now, Raven.
They are. Look, they've looked really sharp the last couple of play days, and they've only lost one game, but they've had some really close results in matches that you just wouldn't think that Wildcard would be having close contests in. Rhythm is a great example. You see them all the way down in 7th. That was an overtime victory for Wildcard, so maybe a little bit too close to call, but yeah, they've managed to settle in at the top at the moment.
Yeah, they're certainly starting to look a little bit better, we'll say that much. Anyway, let's move on to what the night is going to bring. We will have Okami and Pittsburgh Knights up first. We'll talk about them in a minute, and you can gaze your eyes down to Elevate and LFO, a massive game for LFO, and it is, I do repeat this, a must-win matchup. We move to Rhythm and Noble, and to be honest, it's a very similar storyline there for Rhythm. They are down in the dumps at the moment. They've played incredible all season, but haven't been able to convert, and then gazing onto Wildcard and Ferox. In all honesty, this will, tonight will put a lot of pressure on those bottom three teams, Raven.
Hugely, and it's great that they're all playing very separate matches tonight. They're big challenges as well. They're all up against really strong opponents, and in these must-win situations, the pressure is going to be huge on those teams. And then, of course, to bring it back to our first matchup here, Manic, that's a top of the table battle in terms of the Knights are really trying to cement a place in that top two.
Yeah, they certainly are. We've got Knights sitting at second and Okami sitting at third. To be honest, if you'd told me Okami were going to be sitting third at the end of last week, I probably would have told you mad. It did not look like they were on all firing cylinders, but they've started to really warm up toward the end of this season as well. But it's definitely one of those teams that I think have performed quite well. There's a lot of pressure, especially I shouldn't say there's a lot of pressure, because the top two placings, Raven, they're quite important if you'd say so.
Yeah, look, definitely a much safer seeding to be in going in towards playoffs, which is, of course, what happens after the regulation. We'll have playoffs. So wanting to lock in those top two spots is going to be a very comfortable situation for those teams. So that does put a lot of pressure on the Knights tonight to show up, because they didn't show up last Wednesday against Wildcard. And Okami, look, again, they can't be slept on, particularly because they seem like they're starting to play into some form.
Yeah, without a doubt, they certainly are. Let's have a look at them on your screen right now. Jack Daddy, Joker, Cutie, Specker, and Ippy Style with Centus as the coach. Now, like we're saying, start of the season, they had Rhythm first, then they went on to Ferox. So they beat Rhythm, they went on to Ferox, lost 3-7, and then backed that up with another loss against Elevate. Another 3-7. This is why I'm starting to allude that we are starting to see an upward trend for them. They had the three hardest teams, well, quote unquote, the hardest teams to play in the last three matches. They had Noble last week, which they, by the looks of it, easily dismantled on Oregon in a 7-3. Of course, they've got Knights tonight and Wildcard coming up next week.
Yeah, definitely not a easy close to the season for Okami, but they have cemented themselves a spot in the playoffs at least, which is very, very important for them because it was looking a little bit scary. That 7-3 against Noble on Wednesday, though, was quite a good display. So probably a lot more confidence in that camp coming into this matchup.
Yep, most certainly so. Talking about this matchup, Knights are who they're up against. We've spoken about them time and time again, and to be honest, they have looked sound all season long. I think last week is the only exception to that, and well, it was wild card, so you can't really knock them for that, Brennan.
That's the thing. It was against Wildcard. And on top of that, Wildcard are really looking back at the top of their game. They looked fantastic on Clubhouse last week. So the Knights just need to make sure they don't lose that confidence. They're really sharp again against Okami because, like we're saying, Okami seem like they're coming into some form. Yep. Knights get this victory tonight. They really will be cementing themselves that top 2 section going into playoffs.
Certainly so. And I will confirm, we finally have the name for the bottom player, which is Sage. We finally agreed upon it. We had him in Discord. We sat him down and we said, mate, we need a name from you. We need to know across the board what the name is, and we're going with Sage from now on. So I am thrilled to bring that.
Yeah, look, it's definitely not something that we've settled on as a casting group for Oceanic Nationals this season. But now, yeah, we're just going to call him Sage. It's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
And look, he's been a great player for the Knights this season. It was a bit, I wouldn't say questionable, but a little bit scary when they lost Strider. Being such an experienced support player, it's a very important role. So then bringing in someone like Sage, who hasn't played at this level yet, it was a bit like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, maybe that might not work out well for them. I think it has. Like, they've had such a great season. Yeah, they fell a bit against Wildcard, but outside of that, it's been good.
No, it really has been. It's been pretty smooth sailings for the roster and very good sailing. That's a great way of putting it, Rob. That's I never thought of it like smooth that. Butter. Good sailing. Anyway, let's say smooth as butter. Anyway, let's move on to the map, Vito. Would you have any thoughts going into this, Raven? I know we've seen both of these teams play Cafe Club, twice a piece. Yeah. So I would be surprised if we really head anywhere other than that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, look, Cafe Clubhouse, their most recent results against each other. I think Cafe Club is probably going to be the most likely to, but maybe we'll see some outliers, maybe a cheeky theme park I would love to see. Wildcard have definitely played a little bit of that.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I would be more than happy to have a look at theme park. No, never mind. Knights aren't interested. Cafe's gone as well. Club's gone from Okami's camp, which is, I mean, they have not opted to play on Clubhouse for the past 2 weeks in a row. So that, to be honest, that's not a real shocker when you have a look at their bans. We do head to Oregon. Now, very quick point on Oregon. Excuse me while I absolutely smash my mic there. So Okami have beaten LFO and Noble in back-to-back performances on Playdays on Oregon. So headed here, where are you sitting in the camp of favors, Ray?
Look, Okami have proven pretty decent at Oregon. That being said, that's now a few VODs that are available for the Knights to be able to counter-strat, and it's something that we have started to learn a lot more about the Knights, is they're pretty comfortable counter-stratting. Like, every bit of intel they get, they seem like they use quite to their advantage. It's something that's been brought up in their interviews before is about the way they've counter-stratted teams. So I'm still thinking Knights going forward, especially after seeing Oregon, because of that intel and that counter-stratting ability.
Look, it's a very interesting matchup. Talking about that counter-stratting, we spoke to Knights little less than, a week ago now, 7 days ago, and that was on their match against Noble, and they hard countered Nico on that buck. There was no soft breach potential, and all of a sudden, it really felt like Noble was scrambling for rounds. So I think I would have to back you on this one and say that Knights are very confident going into it. I mean, they are a very good squad. There is no doubt about it. They are firing like absolute madmen at the moment. And it is really important to note that we are now into the last 2 play days, but these teams have played a total of 6 matches against each other from last season. So that's regular season, that is playoffs, and then that is the major. So we have seen a lot from these 2 teams, right?
Yeah, we have, and it's been a bit of a back and forth affair. I mean, sometimes there's been instances where it looks like Okami really has the upper hand over the Knights, but then the Knights really surprised them at the major. So it has been quite the seesaw. If you were watching during the countdown, you would have seen the legacy match from last season, where it was a really close affair. The Knights had a strong advantage, and they just lost this massive comeback from Okami. So quite the rivalry, so to speak, between these 2 teams in terms of the back and forth nature of the results and the battle at that top end of the standings.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a battle at the top end of the standings. Let's have a look at the battle for the panel. That is the panel of snowball experts. We're all going with the Knights. Xenox out in the lead. I am still salty about that. He's doing all right for himself, we'll say that much. But it's much closer this season. And I'm going to say it's not much closer this season because we've all guessed correctly. In fact, I think it's the other way around. I think we've guessed horrifically this season, Raven.
I have to say, look, on Wednesday, I had a 0 correct predictions. Like, I did not get anything right on Wednesday. I don't know whether it was me being edgy or anything like that, but it has been tough. It's shown that the region is quite competitive, and while there's been some of the results that have been 7-3 or 7-2, they've been upsets. So it's not like it's a one-way street, so to speak. It's it's been tough.
It really has been. There's been some very big performances from teams like Ferox, even Rhythm, for example, who may only have one win under their belt, but the performances they've been putting in week to week have been quite incredible. But Raven, we can't go off on a tangent on other teams because we are headed to Oregon. Okami taking on the Knights. You would have to assume that whoever wins this will be gunning for that second place. Currently, Knights are sitting at 4-1 in the season. Okami 3-2. This could be a great matchup if Okami bring their A game.
Yes, and look, that's exactly what we saw last time Okami played on Oregon, just on Wednesday against Noble, who isn't a pushover team either. I mean, they are a team that was fighting for a top 3, top 4 position, and they've recently fallen out of form. But yeah, I think this is a bit of a danger for Knights. It's just about what Knights do we see tonight. Yeah,
it really does come down to that, although you would feel, and obviously Specker in the chat there. I do enjoy Specker's energy. There's not many people that will outdo it. It will be Thatcher and Capitow taken off the board nice and early. I'm still in the camp of this is anyone's game. Okami really have surprised me in their last 2 performances, and it's been on Oregon. So, like, it's one of these matchups where I think it's going to come down to inform. It's going to come down to what these teams are bringing into tonight, whether we are going to see them kind of throwing punches early on or whether it tapers away. But it is something important to note. The last time we saw Knights play on Oregon was 3 match days ago, and they won 7-5. However, it was to Ferox, but that's definitely not taking anything away from Ferox's season so far, Raven. Any thoughts on the bans before we head in to the first round?
I'm liking the my ban that we just saw come out of Okami, because it just does make holding, I think, basement in particular, I feel like is going to have a solid impact, because normally you would set up pretty heavily around the pillar there at the bottom of tower stairs, chuck a shield or 2, or my magnets and even ADS is stacked up so that you can hold that comfortably. So without those magnets, that's not going to be very comfortable. And then also the extension strat that you also see commonly into blue, where you have a player playing in that tight corner shield. My magnets are usually also incredibly helpful for that. So I think that's a great ban. And as long as Okami get through their defense halves with a bit of a strength, then it might be tough for the Knights in defense.
51 to 49% in favor of Okami. I can't even be mad at that. I can't even say that the community doesn't know what they're talking about, because I think that this is a very, very close matchup, and it will surely come down to on the day form. Anyway, once we're getting into it, we are heading down to that basement, and Knights coming off the back of a 2-7 loss against Wildcard. It was Wildcard, but still, we did expect that one to potentially go all the way deep into even overtime, but just wasn't the case. And with a lot of pressure as that second place for playoffs, it will, realistically, it means a much easier run when you look at the standings. So it is quite important that they do get off here on the right foot.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So see what they can bring. They have put the 3 ADSs all at that tight shield corner spot where Joker's going to be playing. It does mean the player at the pillars, or the pillar, if there's a player even going to play around there, actually, I don't even think they put a shield there. So it looks like they're just going to give that for free. But it's still going to make a lot of the rest of the site really sketchy, right? 3 ADSs dedicated to that one spot. If the Knights decide this isn't the play and push elsewhere, they're not going to have a great impact. Oh, Hippiestar's actually going to ditch them now, so here we go.
I wonder if Dino's heard that as well, because he was just on that closer drone. Obviously, Josh was there as well. They've completely pulled away from it altogether. Joker's going to be caught out here. What timing from Dino and the Knights. However, Specker manages to find a trade, very quickly outdone by Josh there. An explosive start to round number 1.
A strategy on that to just bait to think that they aren't pushing it so that Okami switch their setup. And they had a drone on it perfectly, so as soon as they switched their setup, they just went boom. That was great coordination from Knights, and sure, they lost Dino on the ace, important hard reacher. I think just getting the 2 kills off the board, particularly Joker as the smoke, huge play from Knights. Love it.
Jeez, look at this from Knights. They've already taken pillar control, and Juice is working on that electric hatch as well. 1:30 left for them to play with here. You would have to assume that they've made such great progress here. However, you still have to be careful. Okami now turtling, waiting for these players to come around the corner. It looks like the Ying might initiate some of this play here. And they're just toying with it for now, Raven.
Yeah, but they're so close to the side. They just have so much control around it. The 3 players of Okami, you see the outlines. There's no flanks happening or anything like that. Specker though, big C4 that takes out Juicy. They're just going to make it... Oh, what was that? Hayward brings it back to a 3 versus 2. And with so much time on the board, there is just pressure mounting against Okami right now.
Oh, that was so nasty. Specker finds a second. That could have been a big kill for them to get back into it. But Sage will shut it down, following up onto Specker to finish the round off. And Knights, there is undoubtedly a strong start for them.
Really strong start. I mean, on so many different levels, just the strategic play that we saw in that opening engagement from Knights was just beautiful. And then the swift aggression to just take that pillar's control so simply once they got the picks. It was just so much for Okami to deal with. And Specker definitely did his best. Oh, that shot again,
Jeez.
Manic. That was just insane. But yeah, look, that's a great start from the Knights. Bit of a statement round, I'd say.
Certainly is an absolute dome from that. But I will admit, that caught me by surprise. Joker, he would be absolutely spewing at that point. They had the perfect setup to ensure that Joker could get away, and they had just fallen back a little too soon. But with that, we will be seeing a reattempt here from Okami, obviously feeling as if they know exactly what went wrong. And I think at the end of the day, it looked like Knights outplayed them, Raven. And potentially, this is exactly what we were talking about in the pre-game, which is Knights do their homework, they do their research, and you would have to say that that is check and check through and through for Knights. They would be absolutely cheering that that round has worked so well.
Hugely. And look, it's not a detail that I can remember about Okami setups, but maybe it is a detail that the Knights identified that, hey, if you don't put pressure blue early, they'll pull their setup away, and then we can strike. Like, that is definitely something that I could see the Knights picking out and deciding it'll work. And it did, and it can have huge effects, like psychologically as well. Like, Okami could be now doubting themselves or a bit frustrated. Knights, on the other hand, pulling off something like that feels great. So the confidence that they'll be able to bring is probably going to be really beneficial.
Well, this time it will be Okami that kickstart things. Hayward goes down. A wild C4 is potentially being pre-placed. I'm not even sure what's going on there, Raven. But nevertheless, they've done well. And this is a good way of burning this defensive side off the angle.
Yeah, it is. Now that the Okami are sticking to this, it's going to require a lot more thoroughness, I guess, to be able to clear it all out, because they got it pretty freely last time. ADS has to deal with another shield there in the corner. A player playing very aggressively around pillars. You're going to have to try and shut that down from tower, which they didn't get control of because Cutie was playing on those stairs. Looked like he got a C4 kill onto the window. I think Hayward was repelled on the window.
Yeah.
But now it looks like the Knights are going to take this control.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
Still just being cautious there. Jack Daddy, obviously with that pre-placed Banshee, will have a lot of information before they even make their way down that staircase. Knights are investing at least 2 players there for now. Juicy opening up electric and potentially just displacing Okami for a small second. But once again, it does feel like Okami are making pretty good time with these rounds, Raven.
They're definitely burning it a lot better right now.
I mean, Knights, that's my apologies.
The Knights?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, their time management is good, but right now it's probably starting to tick towards Okami's favor because even though the Knights have some control around it, there's a lot of utility left to clear. You see a Banshee right next to them. There's still that shield in blue to the left here of Josh. So they don't have as much control as they did in this final minute last time, which is going to just be, again, in Okami's favor. They've still got a great anchor player in Joker, who can now start using his gas grenade.
Joker does fall away. It allows him to do so with that reinforcement. Knights have taken control of the V room and are slowly going to start to put a little bit more pressure on them here. Josh now getting the information that well and truly it has been reinforced. Raven, 30 seconds left. Knights have to make a play here.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
They are going to have to get aggressive. They're going to have to try and flush out some of these positions because Okami can just sit back now and try and just pick them off one by one as they enter. Sage on the Ying. He's going to try and use these Candelas to initiate. He's just not finding anybody though. Dino gets the opening. It is traded back. Does make it a 3 versus 2 in favor of the Knights as Juicy starts to get this plant down. If this is confirmed, it's going to be tough for Okami on this retake.
Oh my word, Cutie, no! Specker falls at the last second. Cutie, he had that. He took down the player sticking the defuser, and there was no potential for that to go down, I don't think, in time. Knights go deep and Okami can't hold. That's 2 on the trot to start us off here, Raven.
Yeah. Look, I thought Okami were going to have that. When I saw the peek around the corner to deny the plant, I just felt like that was going to be it. Knights aren't going to be able to get that final kill, but not to be. Knights storming forward here, and Okami need to be careful not to get too out of touch with this round count. Otherwise, it's going to be a big comeback situation for them on their attack half.
Straight up to kids. And, well, just dorms, period. So
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
definitely will be a point of question for Knights when we head to the end of this map, because they felt like they really understood what was going on. Potentially not so much in that second round, but very much on that first round. They had their number picked, and Okami are not going to be sticking this whatsoever. Cutie at the moment. Where is he trying to stick that Electric Claw? Inside. I like it. I like it. He's literally a pixel off there, and I think that nope, he's nope. All right, you know what, try and try again, and then if you try again another 7 times, potentially you just go and throw a normal one.
Yeah, poor Cutie. He tried to make that work so hard. Look, Dino was probably watching that from that drone that whole time, sitting there in the master doorway. But no, he's going to try. He still hasn't hit this one, so he's going to have to keep going. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
poor
word,
Cutie. I hope he didn't have too much other setup to do, because he spent the better part of almost a whole minute doing these Electric Claws.
And you hate to see it, because we had the point of view the entire time as well. That is so rough for Cutie, but we do have to enjoy it every now and then. I don't know whether Cutie was holding onto that Electric Claw to try and potentially... Well, there you go. It's going to deny that Selma from coming through anyway.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure whether he was going to be placing that late or potentially holding onto it, and hold onto it he does. Does waste 1 of 3 for Dino, so 2 more left, should he not have placed any more. They still have a lot of vertical control there in Specker and Jack Daddy. A little bit more pressure this time from Knights, going from 2 different sides. Attic now going to be opened up, and Okami don't look like they can really contest this too much just yet anyway.
No, but saying that, Cutie does hit a big C4 to take out Josh. Dino got tagged very low with that C4 as well, so that is a good open up from Cutie. Time management from the Knights has just been so good. Again, like, they're getting a lot done here in just the first minute and a half of the round, which is going to put pressure back onto Okami, but the fact that they have the man advantage and quite a solid HP advantage is going to be able to help them to deal with that kind of pressure.
Hippie Style still toying with this. Juicy now getting that info. Should be able to potentially make Hippie Style a little bit more antsy. We've got a fair bit of information, honestly, and that's not too good. Hippie Style going down. A quick trade from Cutie, though, and a well-needed one as well. A minute left, and it is ticking away here, Raven, but Knights seem to have made pretty good progress so far.
Yep, and all this big run out coming here from double windows. Hey, we're going to see it. He misses the shots. That's Cutie hitting his triple. He is really pulling Okami through on this round. Just as the Knights look like they're almost ready for execute here, Manic. Sage is just in the middle of sight, essentially.
He certainly is. Checking white stairs. He will be able to take down Cutie. The linchpin, Sage. Can he make it two? There's two players trying to fight him there. He will get Specker on the pixel angle, but he won't expect another in Kids. Joker now in a 1 or 2v1 rather. He will be able to take down Juicy, and by the grace of God, Joker stops Sage from what was potentially a monstrous round from him. And it looks like rehost we may be going into, Raven.
Yeah, we'll see whether that eventuates, but that was almost a solid round from Sage. I was believing Matic. I felt like that he was going to be able to continue on that roll and get more kills. Some of the shots that he was getting was nuts, but Cutie is, I think, the bigger highlight for that round. He got a triple in the end. I think he ended up being shut down by Sage, but regardless, that triple really helped Okami stay the pace of the Knights.
Certainly did. It kind of felt like it really put a halt, you know, really like a stick in mud almost, until Sage just decides to go deep into sight there, and potentially shutting down that player on white stairs leaves him a little bit more exposed, not expecting another player in Kids. So to be honest, Joker does incredibly well to shut that down. If he falls there, it does get a little bit spicy because there is still one player off site. The vertical angles were opened up, so there was potential for deny. However, it really felt like had Sage, you know, or the refrag had come through there, that was definitely going to be another Knights round. They are just looking pretty strong right now, but Okami are starting to show some good signs toward the end of that third round.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, right? Is Okami just felt like they were really being outplayed in those first two rounds. The first one in particular sticks out as a big outplay, but on that Dorm's defense, didn't feel that much. Like the Knights did have great time management. They were getting a lot done, making some solid progress, but Okami were just coming up in their face. Cutie in particular, quite aggressive. That is going to slow that down a little bit from the Knights and start to second guess themselves a little bit, or maybe just slow that pace down in future rounds, which is a big important thing. If the Knights continue to feel confident that they can just get away with being so quick and aggressive, they're just going to continue to do that, and it's going to be a really sore point for Okami like further into this matchup.
Now, I want to ask you a question, Raven, because as a coach, or as an ex-coach, if you will, I'm sure you'll be able to give myself and the viewers at home a little bit of insight to this. How dangerous can it be to go to a map 3 times in a row, realistically? Because Okami at the moment are visiting Oregon for a third play day in a row. Yeah.
Look, I mean, there's so many different factors to it. It can be dangerous in that, like I said in the pre-show, your opponent will have a lot of VODs, very fresh VODs that they can study, and like that gives you a really easy way to identify patterns. So it's like I was saying in that first round, maybe a very common pattern out of Okami's matches on Oregon was that they rotate that setup in blue if there's no early pressure. So that's the big downside, but the upside is like if you're really confident in the way that you play it and your setup and how that matches up against your opponent, well, there's no reason why not to. It's just, it's two sides to that coin.
It felt like as well, just touching on the first round, because we will have a little minute to talk about this matchup so far anyway. It did feel as though, I think it was Specker who was playing the pillar door into blue there, fell back earlier than Joker did, leaving Joker just completely exposed to that 1v2 coming around the corner from Con. So potentially that might be something that that Knights, rather that Okami look back on and tweak in a small way. I think that regardless, that is just a really, really well-read round. And this is something that we were expecting from Knights going into this. You said it in the pregame, you said it just then. Knights are incredibly good at doing their homework, doing their due diligence. So this could potentially be a little bit more of a spicy time for Okami. They're definitely going to need to back it up. But like we were saying, there were signs of life, and it was really starting to breathe through in that third round. So once we start to get this game back underway, once things are really back on the road and running again, I do think that Okami can claw this half back. From what was looking like it could potentially kind of snowball a little bit for Knights.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. And I'm a little worried about Okami's attacks more so because they are in defense right now. And generally, it seems like you see more comfort in defense halves on Oregon at the moment. I think Okami in particular, you do generally see that. The Knights are a solid defense team. I think it was Vast on the reload said that he would probably say they are one of the best defense teams in the Oceanic region at the moment. So it's way about the Okami right now trying to either get a round lead or at least stay toe-to-toe so that they feel in the game. But if they let the Knights get too far away in this half, like if it goes 5-1, for example, I wouldn't see Okami coming back. Happy to be proven wrong, but just my gut feeling is that's probably not the case.
And the thing is, we've only seen 2 sites, and one of those sites was completely shut down. So should we have to head back to basement, which you would pretty much say Okami will be heading back to basement at least once more in this half, that realistically, you know, like if you look back and you have a look at those rounds and how they played out, that should go the way of Knights. So, you know, all of a sudden this 2-1, 3-1, and it can really get out of reach there. But look, to be honest, you always have to give credit to Okami and their ability to not really let that phase them as much. I know we've said before that they are a momentum-based team, and, you know, we've seen a lot from them when they get fired up, and they are still an incredible team. But I will say this, they have showed up the last 2 play days. So I really think that heading toward the end of this season, this is a great place to make a statement. You know, Knights have only received 1 loss, and that was to Wildcard. Yes, they've had close games against Ferox and Elevate, but this is a really great place to kind of assert your dominance heading into playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's really important for Okami to do that as well. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but they've probably lost a little bit of confidence in themselves and their ability to still stay with the top 3, top 4. Maybe they haven't, but I feel like it'd be fair if they did, because they really did struggle at the start of the season, and against opponents they would have hands down backed themselves against. The loss to Ferox in particular sticks out to me, where they just seemed like they were all out of sorts on Villa, which was normally a pretty good map for them, and they just seemed like they were getting completely outplayed. So I think, this would be a big statement for Okami to prove that they are back in form. And I think given that they have seemingly been back in form the last couple of play days, they probably have more confidence within themselves to weather a storm against the Knights if they do lose a couple of rounds in a row.
And that is definitely a good point you make there, Raven, is weathering that storm from Knights, is being able to, you know, grab from kind of soak up the enthusiasm from the past 2 play days. Because if you really had spoken to me, again, like I said at the start of last week, or even at the end of last week, I wouldn't have said it was looking too good for Okami. You know, their first 3 results, a 7-3 win against Rhythm, that was well and truly expected. But then, like you were saying, losing to Ferox, losing to Elevate, who again have had, I would say, an on and off kind of season so far.
A bit like that.
It was really looking like it was going downhill. And the thing is, had they not have received the win against Noble last week on Oregon, they had Noble, they have Knights this week, and they have Wildcard next week. So potentially this really could have only been a 2-win season. It really goes like that, and things can turn on a dime. So the good thing for Okami is they walk away with this one, or rather they walk away with the win from last week. And now we're starting to feel that momentum. We're starting to see that roll. But again, this is for top 2 placing. This is still quite an important win, regardless of you put, you know, making statements out of the way. Top 2 is still a very big thing on both of these teams' minds.
Yeah, I think you brought up such a good point too about what Okami season could have been based on how they started. If it was only a 2-win season, I mean, like, we say that like it's nothing, they would be in relegation zone. Like 2 wins is not a safe position.
No.
So I think given that they made the major just in August, like that really wasn't that long ago, if they were to be staring down relegations this season, that would have been such a fall from grace. So it is great that they did get that win against Noble, because they are safe at least, but they're probably looking at a lower seed placement in the playoffs, especially if they do end up dropping this map tonight against the Knights. They're going to be up against a tough opponent straight out of the gate. I mean, it's always going to be tough, but at the end of the day, you just have to fight to do what you can with the seeding. And to bring it back to that, the Knights, they just want to lock in that top 2 because it is a safe place to be.
Yeah, we've kind of been talking a little bit down on Okami's side, haven't we? It's kind of been like, not talking down, but rather bringing up Okami's favor in this matchup. But the fact of the matter is the Knights have just had a knockout season. They've had an absolute blinder, and they would have to be completely chuffed with themselves. We talk to Picnic pretty much every week, or twice a week at this point, and it sounds like it's all good from their camp. By the way, I just very quickly want to say, we are sorry for the rehost. Of course, we are still waiting just for 1 or 2 more players. So we will be there in a hot second. But until then, you get to listen to yours truly. And look, the fact of the matter is, Sage has looked so well coming into Knights. And this is what we were talking about at the start of the season. What is going to happen with Knights when we bring that player on? You talked about it in the pregame, Raven, and you really highlighted that. Coming into this season, Sage had no experience whatsoever at this level. We were all like, oh, this could go either way. This could go well, and Knights could be themselves, or potentially this could quickly turn ugly. And credit to the entire squad. They have held true and firm to their major performance at the end of last season.
Yeah, and again, a big key to the concern there is that they lost Strider, who was forever their solid, hard support player, and the amount of clutches that Strider was getting in the major in particular, but just last season in general, he carried, I wouldn't say carried, but he really pulled the team through a lot of tough matches. And he also had a bit of leadership there because he was such a long-standing member within the community. So losing that and then replacing it with somebody like Sage, again, not saying he was unskilled or anything like that, just in terms of this experience difference and even the role difference, was always going to be quite a concern. But it's worked out for them, honestly. They have been looking really good this season. They only had that one hurdle, which was against Wildcard, where they looked a bit shaky. But other than that, nothing but dominant.
Nothing but dominant. You must say that Knights have really done well in the past 2 seasons. Losing Stigs the season before and now Strider, and they've only gotten better and better as the time has gone on. So there is full props being given to this squad and what they've been able to achieve. Thank you very much for sticking with us throughout that rehost, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you were sick of seeing our faces, sick of hearing our voices. And fortunately enough for you, there is a remedy for that. Straight back in to round number 4 here, and we will just reiterate, maybe for those who are just joining or joined throughout the rehost, the Knights were off to an incredibly strong start. They've gone 2-0 to begin with, 2 incredible basement attacks. It felt like they really took Okami out of the game. Okami have bounced back in just the last round and are showing well and truly the signs that we know they can. So this will be interesting. This round here in particular, because we are going to basement, I feel like there's more of an emphasis on this for me anyway.
I agree. It's the only 2 rounds that the Knights have won. I mean, we've only seen 3, but the 2 defenses that the Knights have won was on this site. So 2 unsuccessful attempts from Okami in the various ways that they've tried to hold it or adapt to it. So if the Knights could get it again, well, I think that's a bit of a red flag for Okami on this side in particular, because I think it was Xenox saying it on Wednesday, this site does generally have the highest win percentage. So to not be able to lock this one down can be quite detrimental to your defense half.
Certainly can. And we have seen that before with things like Club, and there are certain sites that definitely do seem to favor, and when you can't convert them successfully, there is a lot of pressure. We said it right before that rehost that should Okami come back to this, they are going to have to win it. They have to ensure that Knights cannot continue to play with them there. And it looks like they will be trying to burn out Jack Daddy's position. Joker looking just to see if Knights get a little bit antsy into blue there, but for now, it is a stalemate of sorts.
Yeah, and they're just checking around, I guess, for other gadgets that they may need to clear. Hayward in a strong position here in Pillar, or at the top of the stairs. Oh, he misses the shots onto Cutie, where he actually tags him, but doesn't quite hit the headshot that he's looking for. But this will be a pretty key point here. If Hayward can really put pressure into Pillar, that is going to destabilize both Cutie and Jack Dad, which is going to really destabilize the strength that they have in blue.
Potentially, Knights have more than the one trick up their sleeve. It looks like they've folded completely. Joker still just stuck for now. He does have the ADSs there. He can burn a lot of time in blue. They don't necessarily need that Pillars player to slow this right down. 4 of them have bunkered themselves on site, Raven, and it looks like they might try and displace Joker here just for a second.
Yeah, great control again from Hayward to push down the stairs. Joker gets aggressive though. He takes down Dino. That is going to make it a bit trickier for the Knights moving forward. As soon as Joker gets this reinforcement off, they only have the Maverick to be able to deal with that wall. And with only 45 seconds to go, probably not that viable. So right now in this 5 versus 4, Okami are again sitting in a pretty strong position to close the round.
We said that in the previous round as well. It was looking like it was going to be favoring Okami, but Knights, you can never count them out. Sage still on that Ying, has made some big plays. Speak of the devil, and he shall disappear, in fact, with Juicy trying to find this player in Freezer. He's not going to, or it's rather Haywood, while Juicy has been taken down. And this is not looking too promising. 3 players are going to go deep here, Raven, and they're going to be shut down in quick succession. Okami make a statement for their 3rd attempt in basement.
Yep, did go a lot better. And maybe something that happened with the Knights there is they just lost that player early. The Dino loss of Ace really makes the blue control not that helpful, because then they can't really get that wall open as Joker reinforces it. Either way, Okami, they do bring that back 2-2 on the scoreboard with 2 rounds left in the half. We said it was important for them to stay in touch with Knights, and this is exactly what they're doing.
Had Knights have gone 3-1 up there, not only would it have been detrimental, of course, to the round count, however, you would have to say, you would have to admit that 3 rounds lost in the basement would just be such a detriment to the mental state of the defense, and particularly heading into that second half, it could really put a spot of bother, a bit of doubt in the back of minds. But it's not to be, and Knights will now have to attempt to take kitchen and meeting. Okami have really bounced back. That's 2 rounds to Knights in the first 2 rounds, and Okami are now looking to at least grab an advantage here.
We do finally get to see them play their 3rd bomb site as well, seeing as they did win dorms and basement consecutively. They've gone for the meeting and kitchen, and it's not as common as meeting and as kitchen and dining, sorry, but I think both sites are somewhat equally viable and different strats that we see played out. Jack Daddy in particular on this Mozzie in the tower, I tell you what, I've seen this in the last 2 weeks from Okami. I would not be surprised if it's something that the Knights have noticed as well, given, like we said many times, their ability to be able to counter strat and just find these patterns.
Yeah, we definitely saw Jack Daddy in a similar position on the match day last Friday. So if it serves true, they will know full well Haywood's going to pretty much walk directly away from Big Tower there. It doesn't look like any of the Knights are really across there. Ippy style above in kids. And Joker was on somewhat of a cheeky roam, although potentially downstairs at this point. There we go. Sitting just on kitchen stairs. Pretty quiet from the Knights to begin with, but they have taken dining control.
Yeah, this is really important too, because they've got this line of sight open into kitchen, so it's going to make kitchen incredibly difficult to play around. Probably see those Okami players start to rotate around to the edges of side or even out into server. Joker playing a pivotal part here. It looks like the Knights know that he is on that stairwell, so likely not to let that happen. Cutie though is going to find Haywood. That's the first kill. Ippy style almost caught sleeping by Josh, but he doesn't quite hit the headshot. Tagged up low, and he is stuck in this corner, Manic.
The question is how much a Knight's going to invest to try and flush him out there. Ippy style has been an absolute menace. Cutie's come across to support as well. Now they will. Candela comes out. Sage there for the support, but Specker will actually support Ippy style with the C4. And Sage is in. Dorm's control taken. Kids, however, still a spot bother. Cutie sitting in the corner waiting for this contact, and Sage, he doesn't exactly know where he is. He dies from the same position as he did 2 rounds ago. Dino, however, trading back with a double, and now it's on. Oh, it's on. Juicy will take down Jack Daddy, and all of a sudden Cutie in a 1 versus 2 Raven to claw this round back from what seemed a 4 versus 2 inevitable victory for Okami.
Yeah, huge surge from the dining section there from Juicy and Dino. Cutie is going to hear this rotate into meeting. He has the line of sight. This could be the Knights walking into a trap. Juicy's going to go for the plant. Oh, it's being covered beautifully as well. But the C4 comes out. It's going to deny Manic. 20 seconds in a 1 versus 1. Both Dino and Cutie full HP.
Seconds to go.
Dino with an excellent read there, pushing into kitchen. Now coming back, he's a little bit unsure of what's going on. Cutie, does he have the hatch open? You bet your bottom dollar he does. Does he see the side of him? He's going to go for the freeze spray, and it's a 1v2 to save the round for Okami.
Save the round is right there, Manic. As you said, it was a 4 versus 2 at one stage. It really shouldn't have gotten that close or even that far against their favor. But Cutie in a great job to clutch it out. And again, Cutie has just been such a consistent standout player for me for Okami. Just seems to always be standing up just when they need it.
Very big call on the C4 there, Raven.
5 seconds left.
And I believe ending it with a 3K potentially? Obviously finding that Ying that was upstairs, Sage, being caught off, and felt like Dino had made the right call going into kitchen, but obviously just clearing the close corner, looking to stick that plant.
Attackers need to locate
And on the back of that, I would not have said this was going to be the case. Okami have taken the lead in round number 5, and as we head into the 6th, I would imagine that they will fix up whatever had... well, really, they don't have to fix up anything. I thought potentially the Knights had done a good job in round number 3 of really putting the pressure on site, but even that, I believe, was a 3 versus 2 or a 4 versus 2 in favor of Okami, so they have looked really, really good, Raven.
Yeah, outside of those first couple of rounds, the Okami have started to look a lot tighter, and again, Cutie in particular instrumental in 2 of those round wins. So see if he can continue that kind of strength right now. Looking for a cheeky Electric Claw. Again, Cutie with these Electric Claws. At least he doesn't have to try and grab that one, because that was not going to happen.
I very much enjoy that, Cutie. I'm taking that into my ranked matches, I'll tell you that much. So now he will leave the left side. Oh, actually, no, he's not. He is going to go ahead and place that Electric Claw in a similar position to last round. In fact, the exact same position. Obviously, I do quite enjoy that. So that is games fully reinforced and supported. And whether Knights are going to be able to deal with those Electric Claws or not, that's another question. They may just have to fold there. They do have the Maverick, obviously, that could bring a little bit of trouble. But Haywood taking down Ippy style, that is not the greatest start.
No, that's a big entry there for Haywood, because that has freed up Attic. That was the Attic player, maybe a little too aggressive near the window. So if the Knights, as they probably will be, are quite swift, they can take this Attic control, which is very important for the attack of Dorms. Of course, those Electric Claws will continue to be a nuisance, though, and seeing as Juicy is focusing his efforts on Attic side, they will have to clear those Electric Claws if they want to get that wall open.
Where did that C4 go? It looked like he was... It really... Has he placed it, or did he try to blow it and it was shot? Because we saw the animation and there was no noise. Anyway, well, unfortunate for Cutie, he now doesn't have that C4 for the later parts of the round. And with Attic completely open here, Joker will attempt to hold this line. Really nice kill from Cutie to bring it back 4 apiece. Those ADSs, though, they should keep him protected for some amount of time. In fact, no amount of time. This could potentially be the Pokeball he's after. Joker, if he sticks around any longer. See you later, mate. Nope. Cooked it too short.
Yep, not quite landing it, but that is all the gas babes baited out now. So Joker is probably going to have to retreat back and try and take some kind of difficult gunfight at distance with the SMG-11. Knights really pushing around site with 40 seconds to go, so the pressure is mounting up. Sage is going to go in with the Candelas, but Joker, smartfully, he's retreated back to dorms now. But this pressure is mounting. Sage with a big shot onto Specker. Gives the Knights this man advantage coming into the final 30 seconds.
Oh, you don't like to see that. He will go ahead and drop another Candela in. He won't expect the player in games. Cutie goes big for one. He nearly got the second there. Sage will be able to spot the player on white stairs. He won't be able to find it fully connected yet. Jack Daddy, he will be able to support. In fact, no, he will not. It's all on the Joker. Tight corner with a shotgun, and he won't be able to convert. Josh with a big round for the Knights in the end.
Yeah, Josh with a big round, like you said, but also Josh has been a big player for the Knights in some of these previous play days. Hasn't had as much of an impact tonight, but still stepping up when it matters. That makes it beautifully even at 3-3 half. We've highlighted it a few times. Okami, they just have to stay in touch with the Knights to give themselves a great shot in the second half, and that's exactly what they've done.
Has the ball slipped for Knights there a little bit, Raven?
Given how strongly they came out of the gates, I kind of feel like it has, yeah. But at the same time, you can't really fault Okami. They've played a lot cleaner than those first couple of rounds. So I think 3-3 is pretty justified given the vibe of how the game has played out.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Just for a reminder, this will be to cement the second place. Well, not cement it, rather, just cement it for this play day. Okami managed to take this, and Knights will have to win there next, and, well, Okami will have to lose there next, so it is quite a bit of pressure being put on Knights if they do wish to maintain this position. And, I mean, we dare not need to touch on it again, but if Okami continue their form into this second half, we could well be seeing this. However, we have said that the defensive side of Oregon, in ANZ anyway, is definitely looking like the more favoured side. Interesting from Okami here with Haywood up in Big Tower on that ADS.
Yeah, again, could be just like a read into what Okami like to do, because here we are. We're seeing two players rappel up to tower. So Haywood's going to be ready to contest this straight away. Drone comes in. It's not shot, so they've got this info. They know very much that he's here, and he's pinched pretty hard. Peeked it straight away. Probably not a great play there from Haywood, and Okami shut that down really cleanly. So within 30 seconds, they've given themselves a great man advantage.
Knights potentially playing into Okami's favour there. I guess that can also be a concern when you do your homework. Sometimes you may read and just unable to execute, and with that, Haywood was just completely left out to dry. And now Okami will put a little bit more pressure in the blue here. Specker's already got full control. Slowly but surely, Okami will advance.
Yeah, and a bit of a potential oversight here is that there's no mute jammer on that blue wall over where Specker has that control. So that means that Okami, if they just rotate Jack Daddy down there with the ace, those Selmas can open that up, and that is huge pressure, and it seems like it's exactly what's happening right now, Manny.
That impact should give them a little bit of leeway there, but there's no more on the, well, rather just no more on Juicy. Potentially no more, period, depending on where Josh is. So at least they have a line of sight. They could potentially open that up. Hippie style. Croning through, and this is very dangerous for Josh. Fortunately enough, the proximity. Oh, wowzers. How's the crew cut on that one?
Yeah, not really sure why Josh didn't maybe even pre-fire that, given that he had the sound cue, but Hippie style with a nice shot. Dino gets the trade, at least. Doesn't even it back out. The Knights under a bit of pressure on site here, though. I feel like Okami are very well set up, especially given there are still 40 seconds left on the clock.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Sage and Juicy now just waiting for that crossfire to be established, as Okami look like they will be playing into it. They will take down Dino. Now the question is, are they going to expect Juicy there as well? The smoke will come out. It completely disables the defense. Oh, through it cheekily enough. And he backs away here, Raven. A 3
go.
versus 2 with huge potential.
The bomb diffuser.
Yeah, but not well covered. 10 seconds to go. Speckett answers back. But, huge, a big swing, and it does save the round from Okami. I was just about to say I felt like Juicy was going to be able to do this, but Matic, no, not the case. Okami do get their first attack round.
Jeez. Specker, Neo from Matrix, just dodging all sorts of bullets there. And that was a very nice start for Okami. Have to wonder for Knights what they will do next. And they're not sticking around. They're going to live to tell the tale, and rather not live to tell the tale and just back away. Resend their previous statement in basement. And now Okami, really the ball's in their court here. They've got all the momentum. 4 rounds. They've managed to take 3 of them in a row. So that was in the
Attackers
previous
need to
half,
locate and
of
defuse
course.
as many bombs as they can.
They'll see what the Knights can do on this top floor defense. Laundry did not go that well. I mean, it kind of came to a bit of a close finish, but Okami controlled a lot of that round. I think that was the big takeaway for me, is that the Knights, I think losing Hayward early and quite cheap was probably a big issue, because Hayward is quite an impact player for the Knights. He's generally been their kill leader for a lot of the season. And on top of that, just having that fragging presence, that aggressive presence, I think would have been very important in that mid-late round. So maybe next time they do attempt that basement, they might not try that tower strategy again, or they might just make some adjustments.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
To be honest, my eyes are going to be firmly placed across there. Waiting to see how they manage to adapt, if they manage to adapt. As Okami do look rather strong. And very much a similar setup, rather, with those 2 players underneath. Control will be established, so Okami will have to choose to flush them out.
Yeah, slower start at least.
Attackers have
Knights not
located a
giving
bomb.
up that early pick. Some roam presence here too, vertically, from both Dino and Josh. Juicy looks like he's going to support from the stairs, so it's about whether Okami decide they want to clear out that vertical presence or not. Looks like they're going to be attacking it quite similar to the way we saw from the Knights, in that they're going to take from attic across and put some pressure around master bedroom as well.
Jack Daddy, full well knowing that trophy is uncontested for now. This line from Specker, where is that going to be held from? As Jack Daddy now starts to open up with the Solmers. Don't have anything to stop that. Oh. I actually cannot see anything there. My eyes are deceiving me.
Impact.
I could not see for the life of me. I don't know whether it was the angle.
Bomb located by
I couldn't see anything.
Blended in, mate. But yes, it was impact trick there by Sage, it looked like. So only a line of sight. Going to be used against them. Sage misses his shots though. Juicy's ended up tagged. A different gunfight. Oh, Specker just loses his face to Sage though. He gets aggressive. Maybe not the play. Jack Daddy does get the trade. Coming into the final minute, 4 versus 4. It feels like Okami have got pretty decent map control. So see whether the Knights can to hanker in, or whether they might try and get some kind of flank. They still have that vertical presence.
This could be extremely dangerous. Saw a very similar round in the 3rd round of Okami's defense. However, this time the teams are flipped. It looks like Joker taking control of attic there. Cutie's putting pressure from the double window, while Jack Daddy is now looking into games. There could be a fair bit of presence here. Josh, the question is, how much can he get done in this position? Can he hold? Can he help and support the rest of his team, with Dino taking down Ippy style, the C4 not connecting either?
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
Dino finds a second, and Josh will catch Cutie coming in the window. Knights, they will bounce back after their first defensive side, and we're evened out 4 apiece once more.
I thought Josh was done for just then, but the quick reaction time, maybe a bit of a whiff from Cutie, not 100% sure, but either way, This looks like it's going to be a close finish to this map right now, Manic. It just feels like it's really a tug of war to try and gain some kind of control, but both these teams are doing a great job.
Here we go. Down to the basement. Knights will not opt to head to that kitchen defense, be it kitchen meeting or kitchen dining. They will instead reattempt it, and we'll wait to see how successful it is going to be. Sage will sixth pick onto the Goyo. Now, very quickly, just while we're touching on last round with Sage's aggressive play, we say that it was not favourable at all to swing at a trophy there and continue the aggression. However, Sage has done that multiple times already in this matchup, so possibly the confidence is peaking for him. He is 6-4, but that, again, doesn't really tell the full tale of what he was able to do for some of those attacking rounds, really opening things up for the Knights or potentially bringing it back level. Whether they were able to capitalise or not, that's a completely different story. And Knights' defense is a little bit deeper in blue there, Raven.
Yeah, playing the more further back position of that shield is Juicy on the smoke. So he will be able to burn off quite a bit of time regardless. They've got that Banshee placed in a great spot too, because you're not going to be able to come and quick melee that. You're going to actually have to use some explosives to clear it. I like that because both of them, because it means that they're going to have to prioritize here. Like, are they going to try and use their soft bridge just to clear those, or are they going to try and prioritize the shield? Thankfully for Okami, they have quite a bit. Specker on the Ash, Ipistyle on the Zofia, nades on Cutie, and nades on Joker, I would assume. So they're definitely not in shortage of clearance, that's for sure.
No. Extremely interested to see how this goes for Knights, with a much deeper line being held. It's a lot less risky, that's for sure. Okami were playing all sorts. Now, Ipistyle not wasting any time in trying to take that tower stairs control anyway. It is going to be held with a tight line. And a minute off the clock. Okami are now putting a little bit of presence in blue.
They are. Looks like they really want to hard take this. And that stairs position that we saw them take very early is going to be pretty instrumental for that, because that's where the backup needs to come for Juicy, because it needs to come from that pillar section. So here's Ipistyle. He's going to try and burn his ADSs, but I don't think that quite made it to the ADSs, unless they already burnt them. I might have missed it. Regardless, the pressure is really mounting. And no, they weren't burnt at all. Here we go.
Oh, wowzers. Okay, there we go. They will still find the call, and Juicy throwing out some smoke to delay, or rather some gas to delay. And a minute off the clock. Okami now get that hatch open in electric.
Attackers recovered the...
Some good use there. I hear a rip of a C4. It doesn't look like it's connected.
No, and Specker looks like he's aware of a flank here. There is a player in kitchen. It is Josh, just sitting very patiently behind that pallet. He's about to peek out into this angle, though. Doesn't quite get the shots. Pulls away. Specker in hot pursuit. Tries to shut it down. Isn't going to chase. Probably a smart play here. Okami are poised now. They are around sight. They are almost ready to push, but Juicy is still in that difficult to flush out position.
He is, and well, Specker, he falls down, and I believe that was from the tight angle from Dino. So with that, oh, gotta catch them all. Dino is well and truly fallen in this round. 20 seconds, Raven. Are they going to explode here?
I think they're going to try, but they still don't have much control. Juicy's still in this corner. He's just going to take out Ipistyle. They've got the man advantage coming into this final phase. Josh finds one. Only two. Only one Okami player left. It is Joker, but he is getting tagged up. I think this is going to be fleeting them now, Manic. It is Sage with the final kill. Pushes the Knights forward. Closer to match point.
Jeez. That is a round and a half from the Knights. Josh, I believe it was, who was just raining down from above at that hatch that unfortunately they weren't able to clear him in that previous encounter. And he makes his money's worth on a flank. So with this, it really now flips back onto Okami. They cannot allow this round to escape them. You would assume that Knights would still be feeling comfortable heading to kitchen and dining. Opting for dining instead of mining. Mining. Wow. Having a good one there.
Wrong map, mate. That's cafe.
wrong map.
Attackers
The
need to
old
locate
meeting.
and defuse bombs.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see how the Knights go with this one. But that was a great adaptation that they had in the basement. I really like the deep shield play and just the placement of those Banshees and the ADSs. Just the Okami never had the control that they needed to be able to push that corner. As you saw, Juicy just held it comfortably. So I like the changes there. Let's see whether they can keep it coming, because if the Knights do get this round, they're going to be on match point, and more importantly, it's going to be the first time since 2-0 that either of these teams is going to be actually having a one-round buffer.
Attackers have located a bomb. 5 seconds left before insertion.
Very interesting point that you make there.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Knights are going to have a little bit of that vertical presence with Hayward there. A little cheeky bullet hole. And a couple of them, in fact. Now, this is where it did feel like it kind of went horribly wrong for Okami on their defense. However, they were able to bring it back from a 2 versus 1 on the back of a cutie special. And I do mean a cutie special. Cheeky little 1v2 there.
Opted for that kitchen dining as well. I mean, it's something we haven't really spoken about, is it's not the meeting, it is kitchen dining. It's a slight difference in the way it's going to be held compared to what we saw from Okami. Hayward solo holding up here. I mean, he does have support from the white stairs at the moment. It's Sage. But it looked like Okami were keen to take that attic control, which is not going to be easy for Sage to back Hayward up on. Again, I think if Hayward stays alive for longer in this early round, it's going to be very important. And he is in quite an interesting little position up there.
His position well and truly known. Sage still has the cross, so they are going to have to either flush him out or just go for it. And, well, Joker, rather cutie, finding Sage. That might be the second one as well. Hayward's taking a little bit of damage. Are they going to expect him there? Well, you bet your bottom dollar they will. Oh, my word. Talk about a round crumbling, Raven. Jeez, that is not good at all for the Knights.
No, that really just fell apart or got picked to pieces, however you want to look at it. It's only up to Dino and Josh, the 2 SAS guys, with shotties and SMG-11s, might I add. That's a sharp shot onto Jack Dad, though. Great way to start it. Gets a little too aggressive. Specca picks up his triple, and he picks up the 4th. So that's Okami with a really dominant round.
That was so close as well. Specca was quite low. Had he had found that kill, it was anyone's game at a 3 versus 2. So, 5 apiece, Raven. They will not let each other escape their grasps. It is, I mean, I hate to say neck and neck. It's such a crutch for commentators, but it really is. Coming down to the final finish line here. Both teams have thrown pretty much everything but the kitchen sink at each other. So, overtime looming, and Okami still on the chase here as they look to take the lead.
Yeah, we just cannot separate these guys. As I said, ever since the Knights are up 2-0, and Okami brought it back to be 2-2, it's just been a trade back and forth of rounds. It's been a really tight contest, and Specca is starting to really step up on these attacks. He's been really solid with these entries so far. That last round in particular was just, they really ripped apart that Knights defense. We might not see them go back to that site here because they're going to go top floor, and then of course Laundry will be available again. So, I mean, if I were Knights, maybe not. I wouldn't want to go back there because it really just was not close at all.
Nope. No, it was not.
10 seconds to insertion.
That's always concerning.
5 seconds left.
Especially when we were telling a very lovely story of how the Knights
Attackers must locate
were so good at being able to do their homework and dismiss anything coming in. So, kids and dorms, into round number 11 we go here. And if Okami are able to even remotely bring as much firepower as they did into that last round, Knights are going to be a little bit antsy on this site. Josh once again playing vertical in kitchen.
Yep, good early presence though. The drone deep in sight, seeing a lot of positions here. Impact trick coming out, so again, the Selma's not going to make a full rotate hole early at least. Ibisol looked like he was trying to hold a tight angle to prevent that impact trick, but it didn't work out. Sage was still able to get it off. Within this first minute, Okami have put some pretty decent pressure onto the Knights here. And again, it looks like they are just going to ignore that vertical presence in kitchen.
Talking about ignoring, it looks like that's exactly what Knights are doing to Addict as well. Yeah, allowing them to open that scot-free. Joker not wasting any time either. ADS and a Banshee invested into the bottom of Addict as now they know that there's nothing in Trophy. They know there's nothing in games. And Itby Style hitting a really long line on the Sage there. Opens the round up finally at the minute 30 mark.
Yeah, again, Okami just setting themselves up pretty well with these attacks, picking off these early kills. Dino's going to drop all the way to the basement here. Looks like he's going to go for a bit of a flank. Maybe keen to catch somebody rotating from tower or push it himself. So whether he decides to pursue, no, he's going to go towards Laundry, which could be deadly because Specker was holed up in garage here. You see it. He's starting to push. And he looked like he was confident that Dino was there, but he actually hasn't pursued it. Dino might be able to catch Specker off guard.
Dino will still have to deal with that Claymore that is just outside of Armory, but Specker not expecting anything here. This could be a massive refrag if Dino's able to find it. Specker just gets around the corner. What is going on here? A game of cat and mouse, Dino. You hate to see it. Completely open and unable to be traded out even. Specker now still alive, rotates back in. 30 seconds left here, Raven, and that could have been a huge start for the Knights.
Would have been very important coming into the final 25 seconds. He gets flanked by Specker, though, is Juicy. That gives Okami a solid man advantage. They're going to push through to site. Cutie gets a big pick as Jack Dad starts to get this plant down. It's all up to Josh and Dino. C4 comes out, doesn't connect, though. Plant will be confirmed. Solid post plant, and it's all on Dino's back, but Joker closes the round for Okami. They move to match point now, Manic.
Oh, wow. Okami making their statement, making their mark here in what is a near top of the table clash. Third of Okami versus second of Knights. And this will solidify at the end of this Playday the second position for Okami if they are able to convert this round, if they are able to convert this map. It really felt like it was in all sorts there. Potentially there was a huge opportunity for that to have gone horribly wrong for Okami. Specker, had he had fallen, anything could have happened. And I believe it was Sage that was on, maybe it wasn't Sage, whoever was on the Maestro there, just completely unaware that Specker was behind them. And you touched on Specker at the start of that round, and you would say still a pretty good impact in that round again. Now we'll head to the basement for a third and final time, Raymond.
We will. I think that's just such a good point that you've brought up, Manic, about what could have been if Dino had hit just one more bullet on Specker. He was 1 HP. And yeah, he would have saved Juicy, who was playing the Maestro, who is such a great late round operator to have up on the defense because of that bullet hose. When you've got attackers funneling through, it's so strong. So, yeah, really could have changed the tide of the round, but it hasn't. Okami are up on match point right now. And honestly, I'm a little surprised it's gotten to this stage, at least based on my expectations from the start of the game. But they have proven round on round that they are looking really strong.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
That they have, and no one could give them any grief for how far they've been able to move. Hang on, have they... Okay. The Banshee's not there anymore. It is still placed in blue, so they will get the information as they come around the corner, but that Banshee that was a little bit closer to Juicy in the previous defense is no longer there. Raven, do you think that could end up having an impact should they try to explode in that area?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely more of a hole than it was before. So, see whether they get that read. Doesn't look like they've adjusted anything in terms of their approach. Being very cautious with how quickly they push blue. What's going to be important is just the control of the rear tower stairs and what they can do with pillar. And right now they are swiftly pushing down to that. It's going to be a lot of pressure onto Hayward really early.
Knowing his position now, it looks like Sage just backed away as well. The Glio shield being taken away. Hayward looking at the very corner of the head there. Nothing being confirmed just yet. And you can hear, again, Electric being open with good time as well, 1:30. And Okami have been able to push that player away from pillar, or so it seems.
Now Hayward's still stubbornly trying to hold on to it. Again, I really would say it's because he realizes it's important that he holds this for as long as possible. Because as soon as Okami get this pillar control, then Jack Daddy can come in through blue a lot more comfortably, and they've got so much extra control on that north side. So Hayward really does have to fight for his life in that spot.
Like we saw Ippy style going across the freezer stairs. Dino with a nice early kill there. It is quote-unquote traded with Juicy going low. However, they will be able to pick him back up should they wish to do so. Jack Daddy has pushed quite aggressively. He will be able to confirm the kill onto Juicy. Make that 2. Hayward falls down, but Josh is quick in response. 40 seconds left, and Jack Daddy is going off. A 3-piece from him. And a 2 versus 3 is not bowing in favor of the Knights.
No, it's really not. Jack Daddy has had a huge round. 30 seconds. They are in sight now, Manic. Looks like they're setting up for this plant. Knights to save the map. They need to deny.
Sage goes for that early C4, trying to catch the outside of the default plan. Unfortunately, it actually blows the Vulcan. Sage with an unbelievable shot onto Cutie. It's all about it now. Jack Daddy, 1 versus 2, holds the tight line to Freezer. If he hits this, there's a chance. The chance is squandered. And we are headed to overtime on the back of a 2 versus 3.
Oh, really well played from Josh and Sage. I felt like Okami were going to have that one in the book once that plant went down. But no, dug deep. And yeah, we are seeing overtime. Again, we could just not separate these teams, just trading rounds back and forth, back and forth. Feels like it's going to end up being an 8-7 the way we've been going.
Honestly, right now, Raven, I would be utterly disappointed if it wasn't. If we do not see 15 rounds, I will be very disappointed. Jack Daddy, though, you do have to give him credit in this position. Managing to find 3 to give them that opportunity, Raven.
Yeah, look, it was a big round from Jack Daddy. I mean, he's been a little bit quiet compared to some of the other players on his team. Of course, he's playing, especially on his attacks, he's playing that hard breach role with the ace. But that was a big round. Like, he really opened that up for Okami. He gave them such a good opportunity to close the map. They just could not quite secure it. So they are back on these attacks, and the Knights are going to go back down to the basement.
Oh, they are confident. And this is a vital round. I mean, not that last round wasn't, but my oh my. We'll see how Okami decide to attack. As Knights did have, I will remind you, Knights did have the early advantage. It was Juicy that was downed, but not finished off. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it around the reinforced wall in time before Jack Daddy completely massacred 3 of his teammates. So potentially, if Juicy gets around that corner and manages to live, that second player from Freezer doesn't need to swing, and that round goes very differently. As it is, it looks as though Knights are going to be in favor of that Banshee being placed back down that blue little corridor.
Good call, I'd say, because it looked like it just worked out so well for them. First attempt at this defense. So see whether it has that effect again. Knights not on much of a hard roam at all here. In fact, they're all back down on site right now. Josh looked like he was going to go for a bit of run up Freezer, but just decided against that.
A bomb has been located.
Okami have not taken too long to be able to start game map control. It's Specker there in Garage already able to cut off any flank coming up from Laundry.
Even earlier this time from Joker, we saw it at 1:30 last round. Jeez, that is a very quick job by Joker. As once he finishes it off, 20-second earlier than last round. And we saw that that was really what pushed the Knights away from Pillar. It was Haywood, and he still is there. He is still peaking. He is game.
Bomb located
He's
by
game.
attackers.
That's just classic Haywood. He is very much the kind of player that will just peak everything. And it can often work out really well for him, but sometimes it doesn't. I mean, we are seeing him 1-7 since the rehost. So he hasn't really had that much of a cracker of a game that we've come to expect. Right now, even though Okami have taken some pretty good map control, the time is starting to get to the essence of getting away from them, given that it's coming to that last minute. They're finally trying to clear this utility in blue.
I believe there's another ADS there, so things are about to get a little bit uncomfortable for Juicy. However, not knowing potentially that there is a Banshee on the other side of it, they have misplaced at least one. So Joker, however, has made his way down into Electric here, and all the player of Knights are a little bit deeper on side here, Raven.
They are. Juicy, oh my gosh, he's been under siege, but he's still in this corner, and he gets the first shot onto Specker. I cannot believe he's been able to get away with that. The Knights are now in such a good position. They're just sitting back. They know of this pillar position. Haywood wants to peek it, but he's got to save. 30 seconds to go. Plant is starting now, Manic.
And it is. And Joker, will he be able to confirm it? Dino pushes around the corner. Style can't hit the shot in time. My God, it's a massacre. Cutie left in a 1 versus 3. Left wondering what on earth has happened to my teammates. And he'll be finished off by Juicy with an incredible blue hole. Knights will push on in their first attempt in overtime.
Big round from Juicy. Again, that position in that corner has just proven so strong for the Knights. I don't know whether the Banshee really did have the biggest factor right there, but regardless, if anything, it's a good omen, right? Because they just got that round. Now that they are rotating back to attack after we've seen 2-3-3 halves, still hard to say what's going to happen here. History tells me it's probably going to end up being a 7-7. But Okami are going for that Dorms defense, and they've looked pretty good on those Dorms defenses.
They certainly have. And not looking to go basement for the fear of what Knights have been able to do in the past. I'll remind you, only one successful round was converted in the basement defense in that first half for Okami.
Defenders,
A
protect your
lot
bombs
of pressure now.
by attackers.
Knights doing everything to maintain and potentially to cement their second place in the Oceanic Nationals come playoffs. I think if they win this, Raven, let me just very quickly do the math here. If they win this game, they will all but have solidified second place in the standings heading into playoffs.
Yep. Again, top 2. Pretty important, right? It's a comfortable position to be in. Strong seeding advantages being in top 2. So it's an important win for the Knights. Of course, Okami are safe from relegation, but they are currently in that bottom end of the seeding in playoffs, so it does mean they will have a tougher run. So definitely good for either team to be winning the match for very obvious reasons, but of course the seeding is a big part of that.
At this point, it feels like it's more about the pride. It has been a very tight match. And it is so fitting that we are headed to a round number 14. Knights looking to close it out in this one. We'll see how successful this hold will eventually be. Cutie, some pretty cheeky little electric claws, but one is already being dealt with. So that left side will be able to be open. It doesn't look like anyone's close enough to impact it just yet. And no, will it be a third? It will be. Knights have a lot of control in the games there.
Yeah, that's something they weren't really able to achieve earlier, so that's going to be a big boost. Again, early. Knights and their time management with their attacks has definitely been a step up on Okami, and that's not even that Okami were that bad with their time management. It's just that the Knights really have been that extra step of efficiency. A lot of pressure around Attic right now, which is, again, Ippy Style's really strong position he's been holding. So if they do manage to find the pick on an Ippy Style, it's going to give a lot of advantage into the Knights' favor.
I think we just saw a player over at Small Tower. I think he's come back now. Yeah, Specker
A bomb has been located.
rejoining the team, supporting Jack Daddy with that vertical control, which there is plenty of. You can see all of the renovations have been made already. It's pre-prepped, so Knights will definitely need to tread cautiously.
Out of control, still not achieved here. Ibistar with a shield, so it's going to be tough to flush out. They're going to have the utility dump, which we saw them do before. They still cleared it out with nades last time. Just going to check if there's any ADSs. No ADSs in the way, in fact. So that's going to open that up for those frag grenades. Looks like Ibistar is going to start backing away, but Joker has taken his place. Sage might be looking for aggressive, but Ibistar opens the scorecard onto Dino. 30 seconds to go. Knights are going to send it. Not going to get that opening pick, though. This position, too hard to flush out, Manic. Looks like we might be going to a 7-7 situation.
I think the problem was for Sage, he threw both smokes over to the left-hand side of Addict, and the ADSs were hugging the left wall of Joker there, and it's impossible for Juicy. There's absolutely nothing left for him in this round, and Ippy Style will close it out for our first flawless round in this matchup. Oh, it went horribly wrong once it went.
It did. It really did. It's just a great example of how just one small error can derail that whole attack. Because honestly, the Knights had progressed very well. They got the game's wall open. They've had Attic wall open. They were ready to start to take all that control and even get a plant down or frag it out for the win. But because of that mess, they couldn't clear that shield. It just was too strong for Okami to be able to hold that position. Here it is, Matic. Speaking of one little mistake, it is now a really important time to not make one little mistake, because this is it.
This is it. Trials and tribulations. We come to the closing of the match. Round number 15 here. I can't even tell you which side deserves it. I honestly, I could not sit here and tell you that Okami are fully deserving of this match, because Knights have turned up. And we said that it was going to come down to form. Who was in form? Who was on when it came down to business? And you have to say, Raven, both of these teams have really shown up. Both of these teams have given us nothing short of, I'm going to say it, Raven, I'm going to say it, a barn burner.
Barn is definitely on fire with this one, I'll tell you what. But I think it's such a great point. Sometimes you see close games like this, but you get a feeling for who is more in control.
Yeah.
Right now, it just really has been this even. Like, it just, I cannot separate them both doing good and bad things that's led to this 7-7 situation. And right now, it's just, this is it. This is the last round. Whoever wins this round is going to take the points here.
Potentially second, maybe even first place if Knights are able to convert this and wildcard, drop a map here or there in the next two play days. Jack Daddy opening up early on. And once again, no impact tricks. Nope, there we go. There is the impact trick. My apologies.
Safer angle this time too.
Yeah, much safer. Uh-oh. There we go. There's your big player, Specker, who has been putting in an enormous amount of effort. He's down, and he is out for the count, Raven.
Yeah, it looked like it was just Josh getting that aggressive peek at the window. And you're right, I think that's a big pick for the Knights, just purely that Specker has really hit some form on the Ash roll on these attacks. Speaking of, though, again, Okami continuing this form of pretty good time management. They've got Attic Wall open. Started to clear the utility here. So this is what we saw go wrong for the Knights. And Okami do oh so right was this clearance, or the hold, sorry, of Attic.
No sense of urgency just yet. Joker just trying to bait potentially someone checking from dorms. Also obviously opening up the window. Juicy with a couple of bullet holes here as the drone comes in. Information will be given So now they'll start to put a little bit more pressure here. This realistically is on Okami here to step up, and step up they will. But Sage, he is nothing shy of incredible in this matchup, and Juicy just not being able to connect those shots. A 3 versus 4 Raven. Okami are really putting the heat on quite early on here.
They are. Ibistyle getting Sage now is going to give them a bit of a hand. Joker tagged low though, so might not be overly effective in a gunfight if he whiffs, that is. Juicy still trying to hold on to this attic position, and finally it's pre-fired. The holes, he takes down Juicy. This is giving Okami this advantage now, Manic. With 30 seconds to go, this is exactly what they need to set this up to be a potential Okami win.
Stepping it up, it would be down from a 5 versus 4. They've clawed it back. Jack Daddy, he will stick that defuser, but Ibistyle from behind, coming through the double window. See you later. That should be the round done and dusted. Josh would have to step up enormously. He's already taken down to a bite of HP. And with 30 seconds on the clock, there is so much to do for Josh. He's got absolutely nothing but the pre-fires. He hits Jack Daddy. Is there a moment of belief here? If he can hit this close corner, he might actually have an opportunity, but no, Joker shuts it down, and Okami, they take what has been a closely contested match from the beginning, 8-7 in overtime.
Beautifully played from Okami. Beautifully played from Knights as well. Honestly, it's so hard to separate them. Okami have got this victory. They've really stepped it up. I mean, we've talked about the last couple of play days. They seem like they've come into more form, and here they have taken out a top 2 contending team right now. Bravo to Okami to pull this one.
There is full props being given to Okami, and I think that in all honesty, in the pre-match, we were, going back and forth. We were trying to deliver those points for both teams, and I think that is probably one of the better matches that I've seen so far in the OCN, and why not on the second to last Playday, Raven?
Yeah, look, that was such a good match. I mean, you already used the Bard Murder term. I'm not going to say it again, but it really was such a great match. It's like I said, sometimes with these close games, you feel like someone is kind of on top. It feels like someone still got control, even though the score is close. But it really was just back and forth of just 2 very strong teams fighting it out. Thoroughly enjoyable. I cannot believe that was only the first match.
Like, 1 of 4 matches tonight, and we have kickstarted it with the perfect way possible. It is actually worth noting here, Okami and the Pittsburgh Knights from last season had 6 matches against each other, including playoffs and then the major. And there were 4, let me just double check that. There were 4 matches out of those 6 that went the full regulation. So that does not surprise me at all that we have seen such a back and forth series there. And for Okami to come out the victors, well played. Well played.
Yeah. Look, I think that's a good point, because this season, if we just focus on this season, Okami are the ones that have had the more questionable form. I mean, the Knights have generally dominated this season, besides that lost a wild card. So you would have really, as the predictions reflected, you would have really backed them in to this game. But I think this is just a big statement from Okami to show that they are back into some form here. Specker stepping up in particular, and Cutie again proving he was a consistent player for this roster.
Yep, back in form for Okami, but by no means out of form for the Pittsburgh Knights. We've got Picnic on the line to have a chat with us and break down what was an incredibly close series. It went all the way down to the wire. I mean, you guys, unfortunately, that is your second loss of the season. That comes on the back of last week's loss. This would not be phasing you in the slightest, would it?
Well, it's phasing us a little bit, but we're still in playoffs. Losing 8, they played really well. I got to give it to them. We've made a lot of mistakes. I noticed in our attacks and defenses, actually, but we were just making way too many mistakes, and they were capitalizing. I got to give props to Okami though; they were playing really well tonight.
Yeah, definitely no doubting that Okami really showed some dominant form tonight, or strong form, I should say. I would love to hear some more insight on the kind of mistakes that you felt like you guys were making, because, I mean, obviously the mistakes were there, but it didn't feel like there were too many obvious or massive mistakes that you guys were making. It was just a lot of Okami playing things really well at the same time.
Yeah, it was very minor mistakes. Like, it was kind of indecisiveness, and there was a lot of, like, we weren't sure what we wanted to do. and it almost seemed like the plan wasn't there of how we should be reacting. Like we would try and go for a flank one round, then we're kind of indecisive about it the next. And same on attack, we didn't know what side we wanted to push, and we kind of just almost chose last second.
Last question for you before we let you go. The loss against Wildcard on Wednesday, has that played into effect to tonight, or was that kind of like a, usual as business, that's okay, on to the next game?
The wildcard game kind of motivated us a little bit. Even though we lost tonight, obviously, it's a little weird to say, but I think both games, they're just, we take the loss, we learn from it, and it motivates us.
Beautiful. Well, that is great to hear, Picnic. Heading into playoffs, of course, just around the corner. You got Rhythm on next Wednesday, so we wish you the best of luck in that matchup, and I'm sure we'll see you after the match then.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. So there we go, Raven. There you have it. It was, to be honest, that's a really good interview from Picnic. I think we got a lot of insight there as to how this has unfolded, and I think that mistakes being mistakes, you're going to make those when you're playing up against a team like Okami that tonight were on fire.
Yeah, when they're in this kind of form, absolutely. And it really was like there was no big mistakes that I could see the Knights making there. It was just a lot of those small errors, and communication's always an important one that we never get any insight on until these interviews. So to hear that they were having potential communication issues, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But look, I think they've got a great attitude, and it's really good to hear them say that these losses really motivate them, and they've got that learning mentality. It's a really important sign of a top-performing team like they are.
They certainly are, and they were bested by Okami. We're going to hear from none other than Specker. Specker, welcome in, mate. It is great to see you. I'm sure you're in high hopes right now.
Oh, mate, absolutely. How was the match to watch, gentlemen? It was a pretty big thrill to play, so hopefully it was a bit of a spectacle as well.
Lucky you can't smell this, man. I don't know about Manic, but that was a sweater. Tell you what.
Don't get me started. My armpits are gross. I got to go to some art exhibition. I have to have a shower after this one. Jesus.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Look, I would love to hear. I would really love to hear about the decision to go Oregon. Obviously, 3 play days in a row. Something we talked a bit about pre-show. Something in particular you guys were targeting with this.
Look, to be honest, we just play our game. I'm confident in my team at the moment. We play our game, we play our strengths, which we did. Really just props to the boys though that we versed. Honestly, Knights, they did some really nice counter-stratting here and there. I definitely could feel it. Like they kind of knew what to do at certain times against us, whether or not that was just great intuition or adaption, or whether or not they actually, premeditated that. I mean, if they did, props to them. But it was a good tight game. Like, I don't know, it was kind of felt like 2 teams just slugging it out against each other. Both of us made mistakes, of course. Everyone's going to say that. Oh, we made mistakes. Yeah, of course, everyone makes mistakes. Nothing's ever perfect, right? I think genuinely, though, it was a pretty well-contested match. We're feeling confident. We're feeling strong. We're definitely feeling about, taking the win this week, and we definitely needed it after a very sloppy showing at the start of the season. And glad that we're starting to correct it. So, we're looking good, we're feeling good, and we'll be playing hopefully even better.
Well, on that note, actually, Specker, just before we let you go, has something changed? What's happened from the first 3 play days where we were starting to question the form of the team to now where you've taken down Knights, who we were really expecting to take that second position?
To be honest, I think it's, like I said in previous interviews, I put a lot of the burden on myself. Not to say that I'm all solo carrying the team, but I feel like me being out of place definitely put the team in a bit of a disarray, I would say. But also everyone on the teams is putting in work. We're putting in, communication when we need to. People are starting to be more open and suggest things. So ideally how Siege should work at the moment, in my understanding, or my beliefs rather, is that you don't have a sole IGL. Sure, you have someone that calls the rough shots of what we want to do, so everyone's on the same page. Sure, you can do some dry runs and stuff you want to do, but a really effective team, and I don't think many teams out there play like this, especially not us, where no one, as I said, is perfect, right? But perfectly adapting to your opponent, right? And that's basically the best way to play it. And the way to do that is by having all of your players contribute information, calls, suggestions, but they need to be good suggestions. And I think that's when the IGL comes in to be like, yes or no. And that's up to you to kind of sift through the information and make the correct call to ultimately get your team to win. So I feel like hopefully gradually we'll be getting there, and the whole ANZ scene feels like it's developing, which is sick to see. So yeah, it was a really fun game, and thanks for casting it, gentlemen. And thanks to Knights for playing. You guys are great, and yeah, love your work.
Beautiful, mate. Thank you so much for that insight.
Thanks,
a lot of insight there as well. You've got wildcard next week, so I wish you the best of luck, and we'll see
should
you
be
on Wednesday.
ripper, boys. Stoked. Right, we'll see
An
you then.
absolute banger.
Oh, okay. No, have fun, boys. Catch you.
Ciao, mate. Do always love chatting with Specker, and again, I think both of those interviews then have given us an enormous insight as to what's going on this season for both of those teams.
Yeah, look, Okami, I think in particular, they have just had the biggest turnaround and a very quick turnaround in the way that they've been playing. So I think your question was great, and it really has just appeared almost just like this click. Something has just happened, and it's quite scary. If they can continue to replicate this, Okami is going to be back in that top 4 contention, top 3 contention if you want to start talking about the major down the track. So yeah, it's good to see.
We do have to start talking about that, but we are going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen. It was an absolute barn burner. We're headed to Elevate and LFO after this.